win this. Pay attention, short. Pay attention. Yes, Pally. Someone win in. Dan McHugh. Dan, get out there. Now drop. Into the box, Pally. Win it, Briggsy. Win it, Briggsy. Get on the pace. Back stick, Cass. Cass, back stick. Jacob, get up. Lucas, up. Gotta win this. First and second pass. Blacktown ball. Briggsy, Blacktown ball. Blacktown ball. Blacktown. Blacktown! Drop 10 in front of the ball. Valley drop. Ball's moving. Go, go. Yes, can you get? Yes, can you get? And again. Yes, Tang. Yes, Tang. Yes, Tang. Get us up, Bolo. Up, Lucas. Jacob. Second, Cass. Cass in behind. Yes, Tang. Come on, Tang. Drop back. Back drop. Back drop. Jacob. 46 Max. Follow up! Jacob! Lucas, get up! Max, I need you to win the ball. Cass, get over here! Yeah. Cass! Pick up the second ball!
Talking there. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Good afternoon, everybody. A Super Sunday in the truest sense in the NPL New South Wales rivalries.
Ten, drop off. Ten, drop off. Ten, stay there. Stay. Have them forward. Stay.
1-1, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2.
Ten,
Welcome to
drop off.
Stadium, round 12.
Maxi, go with him. Maxi.
Men's competition. It's Blacktown City hosting Sydney United 58.
Pressure now, Ten.
Test.
Roll, stay, sit. Stay, Cass. Get next to Briggs. Get next to Briggsy.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You check your connection, because I'm not getting
Yeah,
anything.
no worries.
One. How's that? 1-1. Down a little. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Cool. I'll sit it there. All good.
Yes, Max. Briggsy, Nosey, get in. Easy, Cass.
Good afternoon, everybody. A Super Sunday in the truest sense in this NPL New South Wales men's competition. Rivalries galore across a jam-packed afternoon and a clash with as much meaning as any here at Landon Stadium. The tussle that has decided the destination of so many trophies in New South Wales over the last decade. It's Blacktown City versus Sydney United 58 on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Alex Wolchanoff, delighted to be joining you for this Battle of Sydney's West. Some names still here in Blacktown that harken back to the glory days of this fixture. Travis Major, Mitch Malia and Danny Choi all in from the start today for Mark Crittenden as they look to keep their run of 5 straight wins in all competitions intact in another clash with one of their closest rivals. United's goal is rather similar. A slow start has given way to greener pastures and a fitter squad for Ante Juric. 4 wins from 5 in the last month has got them looking up the table and dreaming of silverware. A win today and they'd be into the top 6 for the first time this season. So let's go straight to the team news. 2 changes to Blacktown City after that dramatic 3-2 victory against close neighbours Mount Druitt Town Rangers last weekend. Mitch Malia's fine run of goal-scoring form continues. He's in from the start again today. Behind him, Caden Henderson resuming in goal, a back 5 of Jackson Badiero, who comes in for the unavailable Grant Lynch today. Nick O'Brien expected to slot in between Ben Berry and Lachlan Campbell in the centre of defence with Jacob Kresnar down the left. A midfield 3, an attacking 1. Jack O'Brien and Travis Major there, along with Danny Choi, who's included today, with Maniti dropping out through a long-term knee injury. Malia is partnered by Marty Fernandez up front. And for Sydney United 58, a couple of changes from their win over St George, one of them enforced. One of the former favourites here, Carlos de Oliveira, is replaced by another one of those. Mario Chabot returning to Landon Stadium for the first time since his switch across to the southwest in the off-season. He starts in midfield with Glassick and Maya. Behind them, Bailey Rule, William McGing, Adrian Vlastelitzer and Matt Hatch are the back 4. Tristan Prendergast in goal. The front 3, Leroy Jennings, Mason Wells and Patrick Anselmi, fresh off a hat-trick against St George a week ago. So, as you've heard, a fixture filled with history. 10 years ago, we're looking back to the real peak of this fixture when it was deciding Waratah Cups and who was going through to round of 16s in the FFA Cup, who was winning premierships and championships. But this has all the makings of a defining season fixture again in 2025. For Sydney United, they need to win it. Amongst a glut of teams chasing the top 6, Blacktown City have found themselves in pole position despite the fact that Mark Crittenden has not been best pleased with their performances over the last couple of weeks. They managed to find themselves on the winning side, and you see Danny Choi and Mitch Malia already trying to link up inside the first 40 seconds. Well, it looks as though it'll be very interesting to see how they line up. 5 very attacking players named for Crittenden today, with Jacob Maniti out, no Adam Berry. It's a lack of a defined holding player. No doubt Travis Major will fall into that position. He's become Crittenden's Swiss Army knife, as well as his captain over the past 12 months. He's almost played in every position except in goal. Up against Mario Chabot, there's a lot of crossover, a lot of former teammates facing off again today. Chabot for so long, member of this Blacktown City side, which was so successful. Ante Juric very happy to have his services in full after an injury-riddled start to the year. Injury-riddled finish to last season as well in Blacktown colours. Both these teams managed to make it into the semi-finals before being beaten by Rockdale and Marconi respectively. Nick O'Brien stepping in. Interesting, the backline of Blacktown City. It looks as though Bandiera has slotted in alongside Campbell and Berry. Nick O'Brien staying in the wing back role. Jacob Kresnar down the left as we brought you pre-game. is Michael Glassick. It's been a terrific addition to the heart of Sydney United's midfield. Has pushed Anthony Tomilich out of the position he's occupied for so long at this club. It's Bailey rule, ever present for the last couple of seasons. Since his move across from the Northern Tigers, and he's forward here, getting it off Glassick. Facing up with Kresnar. He read it well. Here's Mason Wells. Loves that left foot. Leroy Jennings starting off the left, the right footer. It tells you how United are going to try and structure their attacks this afternoon. Pitch still pretty wet after all the rain we've had in Sydney, but it's stayed away for now. Blacktown being pegged in back in their own half to open the game. Choi can't find the release. Sydney United playing very much in the ascendancy. Team that like to play with the football, and Wells has got the better of Kresnar. Blocked initially by Bandiera and then thumped clear by Major. Crittenden side having to absorb some early pressure here. After Mitch Mullier might have opened the scoring inside a minute. We saw the team sheets handed in. We suspected it might be an attacking fair. Certainly that's been the way for both teams. Defence at times has been an issue, although both have looked a little more assured over the past few weeks. So much attacking firepower across both squads. Rule is having his say early. Glassick with Anselmi. Another has had an injury-riddled start to the season, but has fired back into form with a hat-trick against St George FC a week ago. Here's Hatch, always full of running. Chabal, an area he knows so well at this ground. Wide for Jennings. It's in towards Anselmi. Perry, knowing the threat that was behind him, happy to turn it behind for a first corner of the afternoon. As we mentioned those fixtures back in the mid-2010s off the top of the broadcast, Patrick Anselmi wearing Blacktown colours for a portion of that period of this rivalry. He's established himself as a Sydney United legend over the last decade. Chabal to take that first corner of the afternoon. Didn't beat his old teammate Lockie Campbell. Won a championship together back in 2022. Tristan Prendergast, another member of that squad, but missed most of that season with a dreadful elbow injury. And his clearance has almost found the gantry here. Got a good view of that one. It's mentioned off the top. It's been a good run of form for both of these two sides after up and down starts to the season. Blacktown have lost just one of their last 8, and that was against Rockdale Illingdon. They made it through 2 rounds of the Cup in that period as well. Comfortable victories against UNSW, and then earlier this week against Guy Mia, as Jennings is brought down crudely by Major. Danny Horsted, our very experienced referee today. He's happy to stay patient in the early stages, and Major has caught more than just the free kick being blown against him for that challenge. Jennings with so much running power. Another one who's had his battles with injury since signing for Sydney United a couple of years ago. Scored it on debut. Big game against the Marconi Stallions round 1 a couple of years ago. There's appeals for a handball against Bandiera, but from our angle came across his midriff rather than off his arm, and Danny Horsted quick to wave away the appeals. Starting to feel like football temperatures around the NPL New South Wales. We've waited almost until mid-season to get there. Diving in at the feet of Fernandez was Tarek Maya, and quite rightly, I think the Blacktown City player makes the argument, what was I meant to do? Ball at that awkward angle, but a high foot is a high foot. So the free kick goes Sydney United's way. They can continue to put another raid together against Blacktown City's defence, who've held stout to this point. United moving it as slickly as they did against St George a week ago. Really have started to find their attacking rhythm over the last month. Adrian Vlastelitz's ball-playing ability, always an asset. Lee McGing on the right. Those two have been able to rekindle their partnership in the heart of Sydney United's defence. Matt Hatch, one of the best attacking fullbacks in the league, and he's skipped past two like they weren't there. The cross affected by Ben Berry, cleared away by Campbell, headed up rather than towards a teammate by Malia. The throw-in looks as though it'll go Blacktown's way, to the displeasure of a couple of Sydney United players. Rather wasteful, though, from Malia and Nick O'Brien, who conspired to turn it over. Say the same of Glassick. Well, that'll hold up. It's this well-worn Landon Stadium surface. Be thankful for the rain. Oh, and then a very crude challenge from Fernandez, who's already caught the attention of Danny Horsted once this afternoon. Second foul in a matter of moments, and that one rather more reckless. Certainly that's the definition given to it by the referees, and Fernandez was only going to get one decision coming his way when he went in like that. Foul out of frustration as much as anything. Fernandez has been forced into a lot of defensive work in the opening 9 minutes. A game that always has an underlying feeling of fire. Gets his first flashpoint. Danny Horsted is one of the most amicable of the referees around the competition. Well liked by players and coaches. He's able to control games with his personality, and no doubt why he's been appointed to this fixture this afternoon. As with every official, he'll find his times to show his strength as well. Getting the card out early there, just diffusing a little bit of tension that had been building over the first 10 minutes or so. Patrick Anselmi finding his way into war of words that took place after the foul from Marty Fernandez. Sydney United can continue to construct attacks through Mason Wells down the right, left footer playing on that side of the pitch, and Kresnar got the better of him that time, just showing him the byline, which he dribbled the ball over. Started this season in fine form. Mason Wells scored a couple of crackers. Really was the shining light in the Sydney United side that hadn't found their feet. It's his second stint at the club after a time away with the Bulls Academy. Found his way back in the middle of 2024. Got himself on the score sheet a couple of times, but really has burst into life this season over the opening 3 months. And Tommy with Berry in his back and Major in his face. Chabal plays it over the top of both of them. Asks Jennings to stretch his legs. Wasn't able to keep the ball in play. You can see what Sydney United fans were so excited about in pre-season. It's the number of attacking weapons they've got. Jennings off the left, Wells off the right. Two players who have shown their ability in patches. Matt Hatch and Bailey Rule have complemented each other as attacking fullbacks, and first Mirov Vlastelica, then Zelko Kalac a year ago, now under Ante Juric. It's Tarek Maya trying to find his way back into the first team as well. Played well a week ago against St George. Glassick has been ever present since the start of this season. Wells looking to swing it in on his left. Read well by Campbell. It's added a measure of solidity in the heart of Blacktown City's defence since his reintroduction there. Lockie Campbell stepped up and been the leader of this defensive line. Bandiera bedding in pretty well alongside him to his left at the minute as well. In the absence of Grant Lynch today. O'Brien a little lazy, you could say the same of Flastelitzer as the ball came to him, but no Blacktown striker in attendance. It was allowed to travel all the way back to Prendergast. First real chance for Blacktown to try and press Sydney United. Can they play through it? Not quite. Blacktown picking their moments. Bandiera is has found his way back to Blacktown City after a little bit of time away. First with Mount Druitt Town Rangers, then Sydney Olympic, where Ian Kresner occupied the left back slot almost interchangeably for a year. Both ended up in the same starting lineup here at Blacktown City for the first time this afternoon. Back five accommodating them both. I've got some defending to do here as Chabal tries to burst clear. So strong. Turn is not bad either. Just needs some support. Didn't get it going forward, so he goes back to Rule. Wilson Chabal trying to link up, but Ante Juric is encouraged by that little interplay. Hasn't been the most action-packed opening 14 minutes or so, but Sydney United have had the better of general play without generating a real meaningful chance. Only takes a moment for Patrick Anselmi. Sloppy touch from Nick O'Brien. Brother Jack bails him out. I reckon Leroy Jennings might be very close to winning a throw there. Not quite taking a touch off Jack O'Brien. The spin rather than a deflection taking it out of play. Lovely ball from Lockie Campbell to open up the pitch for Blacktown City. And this is where they want Danny Choi. Running at McGing, who did well to get back, and the decision is goal kick. All the commentary you need there coming from the technical areas. All promising signs. It's taken really 15 minutes between attacks for Blacktown City. Now they're trying to set up camp in Sydney United's end. Not quite able to. Sloppy touch from Choi. Ball asking a bit of Ben Berry, who was cool. Same can be said of Lockie Campbell. Now Nick O'Brien down the right. First chance for him to really try and display his ball-playing ability. Chooses not to, and there's a bit of a sloppy one back towards his own goal. Bandiera. Sydney United bedded into their own half. All 11 players behind the ball. Well, won by Rule. A brave win in the air above the on-rushing Kresner. Maya. Lovely touch from Wells. Almost took it away from both the Blacktown City defenders, but enough to cause Bandiera just to bash it out of play. Like for like replacement, Mario Chabal, one of the two changes made by Ante Juric coming into the afternoon after Carlos de Oliveira was sent off last week against St George FC. Like for like, he almost challenged to pick them apart at times as players on the pitch, and is Chabal making his way into the area. A bit too much on the cross, and Jennings almost guiltily sticking his arm behind his back after he'd controlled it. It's always a good giveaway for a referee, and Horsted was well positioned. It's missing that final ball at the moment, Sydney United. The build-up play has been pretty at times. Not much finding its way to Patrick Anselmi. That's by design from Blacktown City. No, the threat he offers all too well, particularly in this fixture. Jack O'Brien in behind here. Blacktown really could spring forward and get something in transition. Hatch with a lovely turn to sell two Blacktown City players. And a stretching block from Ben Berry. Poor touch from Nick O'Brien, and that compounds the foul. Or compounds the error, rather, with a foul. Little battle going on between two of the players coming into the peak of their respective careers. Nick O'Brien and Matt Hatch, established first-team players for Sydney United and Blacktown respectively. Here's Anselmi. Right in the area they want him. Jennings in a race with Henderson. Rounds the keeper. Can he keep his feet? He does. He keeps his head as well. And finds Mason Wells for the opener. Beautifully constructed. First by Anselmi. Then from Jennings, who kept his cool. And he won't get many easier, Mason Wells. The first telling touch that Anselmi has had this afternoon, and it creates a goal for the visitors. Just as they did here a year ago, they take the lead. Fifth time in their last 6 that Sydney United have scored first. It's not been taking chances early, that's been the problem. But their football to start this game has been quite spectacular in patches. Well, it's proved irresistible for the Blacktown City defence. We mentioned it only takes a moment for Anselmi. So just give himself a yard in front of Lachlan Campbell. He had to follow him. That opened up the space in behind for Leroy Jennings. So fleet of foot and cool of mind. Once he had rounded the goalkeeper, would have been all too easy to stuff up his lines once he had got through there. Wells just does everything right. The right place at the right time to tap home. Left unattended by a Blacktown City defence. Worried about the threat from the other edge of the penalty area. Marty Fernandez has got a frustrated figure to this point in the game. Play with so much talent when he's running with the ball going forwards, but he's already been booked. Just got to be careful going into that challenge on rule. And he was. Berry's not really dealt with the long ball forward. Campbell and Major help out. McGing nods it back forwards. Campbell into a more productive area for Blacktown City as they try to get out of their own half. Nice ball from Jack O'Brien. Less nice touch from Danny Choi. Campbell trying to steal it off the toe of Anselmi and then timed his challenge beautifully on Leroy Jennings. Now Nick O'Brien down the right. Choi has just not been anywhere close to his best in the opening 20 minutes. Not had much of the ball, but he's barely had a touch where he hasn't turned it over. Lovely touch from Jack O'Brien. He's been reinvigorated by his move back into midfield. So a couple of seasons at the point of attack. McGing getting highest in the pack. It's fallen to Choi. That's a better ball. Major. Back for Choi. Can he come up with the big moments? Didn't beat McGing. And Wells, less convincing touch than the one that opened the scoring. It's been a funny old game so far. Sydney United very much in the ascendancy until they got the opener, and now Blacktown City seem to have all the ball and all the territory. Choi again. Kresna. Suddenly McGing's becoming the star at the back as Fernandez caught it. Not quite as sweetly as he can. First meaningful chance really created by Blacktown City in the opening quarter of this game. Their best period of the match coming immediately after conceding. Flastalissa with a sloppy ball out from his own ends, just inviting Blacktown City back in. Choi blasting it across the face of goal. And there was a touch in there. Not quite sure who it was from, but it was a brave soul who stuck something towards that because Choi struck it with some venom. Now we get a first Blacktown City corner of the afternoon. Malia, who can barely remember having a touch, is in such fine goal scoring form, is over to try and create one from this corner. Deep ball towards Campbell and Berry, the two big threats in the air. There was certainly some grappling going on between both sets of players. Berry did manage to get his head on the ball, but without the purchase he was looking for. Prendergast happy to see it drift wide. Wonder of those other games I mentioned. It's a big afternoon in this competition, the superest of Sundays, if I can put it that way. And the NPL New South Wales men's bring you an update from the Derby d'Italia. That's at Lambert Park this afternoon between league leaders Marconi and Apia Leichhardt. Sitting a spot behind Blacktown coming into the afternoon. Choi driving forward, trying to get them back on level terms. Growing into this first half. Kresna. Looking for support. Comes in the form of Bandiera. Position we're more accustomed to seeing him. Kresna with a second bite of it, and Hatch happy to turn it behind. So pressure building Blacktown's way now. It was all Sydney United early. And momentum almost halted by their own goal. Mason Wells tap in from Leroy Jennings' cross. The goal that separates these two teams after 24 minutes or so. Well, yeah, no doubt about where this ball's going with Berry lurking at the back post. Campbell trying to join him there, and it beats everybody. Just drifts behind for a goal kick. Malia and Choi quite in tip-top form to start this game. Vlastelica trying to thump Sydney United forwards. Touch from Bandiera only as far as Maya. Glassick. Rule for Wells. Juric asking his team to find feet, which they do. Bailey Rule, face-to-face with Bandiera. This is a more intricate build-up we were seeing in the opening 15 minutes from Sydney United. Just falls down as Wells tried to return it for Maya. A couple of touches since the goal haven't quite been to the standard of the ones before it. Hard to give you a straight narrative on the opening 25 minutes. Game that has ebbed and flowed with the form of its players. Marconi have taken an early lead at Lambert Park for 17 minutes. 3 kickoffs coming at 5 o'clock this evening as well. Rockdale Illingdon now hosting Central Coast Mariners after that game was moved due to wet weather. In fact, all 3 of the late kickoffs have been moved from their original locations. Playing at Sir Ian McLennan down at Port Kembla, as tends to be the case when the Wollongong Wolves have wet weather like we've had over the course of the weekend. So 5 o'clock kickoff now between they and the Mount Druitt Town Rangers, with Sydney Olympic moving their game from Belmore to Valentine Sports Park against Manly United. Same kickoff time of 5 o'clock. All those games will follow this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Mason Wells' goal has given Sydney United a 1-0 lead here at Landon Stadium. Blacktown City have been the more attacking of the two sides since that opener. Yet to create a clear-cut chance of their own. Tristan Prendergast against his old club, who really became a stalwart in the course of the last decade. Yet to be forced into a real highlight reel save. Can Marty Fernandez test him here? Not with that ball. Darting run. More the area Blacktown City will want to see. The midfielder with the ball at his feet. Announced himself in this competition for the Marconi Stallions at this grounds with one of the best individual goals we've ever seen in this competition. Not quite come from so far this afternoon. Campbell, with the exception of the moment which led to the goal, has done well in keeping Anselmi quiet to this point. Chabal flitted in and out of this first half. Maya for Rule. Seeing so much of the ball, that's a touch which will end up in his hands. Part of the reason Fernandez is having such a frustrating afternoon is because he's having to play so close to Mario Chabal. We know the threat he offers when he gets the ball on the half turn. Fernandez, no doubt, aware as well. Rule, well, he was corralled almost by two players, managed to find Wells. Ball that just fell a bit short of Chabal. Classic recycling possession. Floats it out for Jennings. He's already provided one. Can he get on the score sheet himself? Darts to the byline. And the ball at the near post is cleared away by Campbell, who has more than a couple of words for the assistant on the near side, and Danny Orsted is going to cut all that out very quickly. Saw a flashpoint after 10 minutes when Fernandez was given an early booking. Referee just stepping in again there to try and quell some tempers. Chabal has provided so many assists from this corner over the course of his career. Plays it short to Anselmi. Might look to shoot himself. In fact, flicks it in. Found Glassick. Not sure he was expecting the ball to reach him. The sting comes out of the attack. Les Chabal can insert it again. Running at Fernandez, who did beautifully to dispossess him. Choi facing forward. He won't beat Hatch for pace, so he's going to have to try and insert a bit of trickery. Did beautifully to find Fernandez, who is improving minute on minute in this game. Kresnar. Major. Playing as the metronome today. Deepest lying of the three midfielders. The absence of Berry and Maniti. Bandiera. Should mention as well, it's 2-2 draw. Last time those two met here. Twice Sydney United led, twice they were pared back by the Blacktown City side that was so dogged that day. And there's determination to get a point. So similar their response here as that one's floated in too close to Prendergast. Got his angles right, you'd expect nothing less. Just a bit of frustration creeping into body language of some of the Sydney United players over the last 10 minutes. Not quite going their own way. Lovely turn from Anselmi, who thought about trying to catch out Henderson. He's so much a match winner. They'll accept a moment or two like that. Mention that game going down to Wollongong between the Wolves and Mount Druitt Town Rangers, or moving from Wollongong a little bit further south to the artificial turf at Port Kembla. Sydney United, their Australia Cup match in midweek, postponed against strong Illawarra Premier League side Tarrawanna Blueies. As such, that game's been moved to the Sydney United Sports Centre on Wednesday night. So they've had the week off. Blacktown City coming off a game, but it was a convincing victory for them. 7-0 against Gaimea, an association side down in the south of Sydney. Lovely challenge from Jack O'Brien. Such a dogged defender when he's asked to chase back. He's got his team going forward as a consequence of that challenge. Kresnar skipping past a couple. Flastelitza got enough of a touch to interrupt the run. O'Brien might line up from here. Instead he goes out for Nick on the right-hand side. Major. Faced with a lot of red shirts and not too much black. They're all piled towards the penalty area. Just a little bit of hesitation in how Blacktown City are building their attacks here. Not quite as fluent. Without that ball-playing ability at the base. Not to say that Major doesn't have that, but he's so attacking-minded, he wants to join in when things get flowing forward. Choi's not been quite at his best to this point. That could all still change. Can't say the same for Antelmi, who's made every touch count. Wells engaging Bandiera. And Antelmi again, he's got space! And he's doubled United's advantage! Creates the first, scores the second. It's another purple patch of form for Patrick Antelmi. And in contrast to the first, this one's against the run of play. It matters little to Sydney United, who double their lead just after the half-hour mark. A fourth goal in 2 weeks for Patrick Antelmi. Aren't they happy to have him fit and firing? Two moments where he's been afforded space in front of the Blacktown City backline, and he has made them pay in full on both occasions. Nothing Henderson could do. Wasn't the purest strike, but it was curled beautifully. Couldn't have placed it better in the corner of Blacktown's net. And Sydney United, it's been a wait for them to get a win over their old rivals. They came close here a year ago. But you're going back to 2022 for their last win here. Goals from Carl Chimenti, and you guessed it, this man, Patrick Antelmi, that day in a 2-1 victory. Henderson commanding his area, and Blacktown will be so disappointed because they had responded well to going behind. Now their task is doubly difficult. And a crowd that's pretty healthy in number. You expect nothing less between these two, but they've been quite by the start. Can Choi give them something to cheer about? Away by McGing, only as far as Major. Bodies flying out to block. And then Hatch preventing it from going for a corner, which draws applause from Sydney United. They just look right at it this afternoon. Particularly defensively. It's been the area that Ante Juric has been so keen to correct. Battling gamely with an attacking lineup to the envy of plenty across the competition. But Choi and Malia have been stymied. Fernandez and O'Brien and Major behind them frustrated. Nick O'Brien and Jacob Kresnar down the flanks, not really able to get involved in the game too far forwards. Just to emphasise that point, O'Brien stretching for that ball but unable to keep it in play. 10 minutes to go until the break, and travelling United supporters might hope that half-time never comes. Look comfortable with the ball in front of them to this point. Could all change. Only takes a moment in games between Sydney United and Blacktown City, but visitors now with that 2-goal advantage are looking the comfier of the two, and they're playing some fine football when they do get in space. Rule afforded a lot, and looking to slide it in for Antelmi. He's onside here, and it's a good save by Henderson. Trying to go across him again. This time the Blacktown City keeper stands up. Good save from the 20-year-old. Wells ducking inside on his left. Thought about a shot. Rolled it in for Antelmi. Chabal. And it was that close to another Antelmi shot that would have taken some saving, no doubt. Glassick not letting Blacktown out. The pressure is suffocating at the moment from Sydney United. And their travelling supporters are becoming more and more vocal. Both in the stands at Landon Stadium and on the broadcast side of things. Foul blown against Nick O'Brien for a little tug as Hatch tried to dart away. Blacktown frustrated, as they might be. No surprises there. Mark Critton has made clear in his responses to media over the last couple of weekends that knows his side can produce better than what they have been despite the results. The attack is not quite clicking in the same manner this afternoon. Pressure on their defence has shown a couple of creaks. Meyer floating it high into the air. Glassick got to the first ball. Fernandez sweeping away the second. Hatch. This is where United just look so comfortable. Playing through midfield. Rule has had so much space in which to operate down the right. And Solmi. He and Shabao showing their understanding. Glassick chiming in. Fantastic football from United. And Tommy's shot is blocked by Berry. He's been dogged defensively and Jennings didn't time his run. So he's flagged for offside. In patches, Sydney United today showing some football that's rivaling what Rockdale and Marconi are doing at their best. Arpia Leichhardt, who are on track for 90-plus goals across the season. Oh, and they've just let Danny Choi slide off the shoulder, but Prendergast comfortable. That ball was bouncing its way all the way into his hands. And even Vlastolitzer is just full of confidence playing out from the back. Glassick can get his head up. He's a centre-half before he's moved to Sydney United. He's been so beautifully deployed as the holder in front of Vlastolitzer and McGing. Can Blacktown get something back before half-time? O'Brien from a long way out. Ooh, and it took a skip and a hop off the turf. Almost took Tristan Prendergast by some sorts of surprise. You do get some funny bounces on this Landham Stadium turf. We've seen it all before. His positioning and then his reactions. Enough to mean he didn't need a second bite at reeling the ball in. Question now for Mark Crittenden is what to change, because there have been some good signs amongst all the madness. The fact of the matter is there's not been enough in the way of chances created to this point. Looking to Malia and Choi, but the ball's not getting up towards them quite often enough at the moment. Jack O'Brien's been dogged through the middle. His running has only created so much. You can say the same of Marty Fernandez. Who will be the player to bring the other two into the game a little more frequently? At the moment, they're just being overrun in midfield by a trio that looks so comfortable in Shabao and Meyer and Glassick. Wells, who opened the scoring this afternoon. Choi battling back defensively. It's first up in a few weeks. Hasn't gone quite the way that Blacktown City were hoping. Meyer. Wells. Kresnar did well to nick that ball off Wells. And I have to say, despite the fact that Mason Wells has got on the score sheet, Jacob Kresnar has been more than his equal in their little battle down this near side. Been one of the shining lights in pretty disappointing first half performance for the hosts. Henderson without the options he was looking for. Nick O'Brien drifting into midfield to try and give them something going forwards. Well measured ball that asked everything in McGing. Kresnar happy to let it trickle out for a throw. Give Blacktown a base from which to base themselves. A base from which to start an attack that can really hurt Sydney United. Fernandez. And now Bandiera. This is more promising. Oh, and a ball that flashed across the face of goal. Not for the first time this afternoon. Hatch scampering back to make sure Malia didn't have a clean play at it. But he's got a chance here, Mitch Malia. And again across the face of goal with no one in black gambling. Couple of shots across the bow of Sydney United, but Prendergast not called into action. Just a moment for the visitors to take their breath. 2-goal advantage, well deserved. Last thing they'd want, though, is to cop one just before the break. Needless, given the extent to which they've dominated this game in patches. Let you hear some of the noises coming out of the two technical areas as play develops in front of us. Fantastic viewpoint we get here at London Stadium now. Standard which we brought you so many seasons of NPL New South Wales football has been fantastic, but having this permanent vantage point right above the two technical areas and perfect distance from the pitch means we can bring you the best pictures and also bring you a little bit of the sounds that are developing from the play in front of us as well. Well, and they're 3-on-2 here if they play it right. Jennings wasn't aware of that fact and so played it back for Chabal. A little more awareness from the Fijian international. Who knows what might have unfolded. Goodness me. Blacktown City caught short on numbers and lucky that Jennings wasn't aware enough to punish them. Has set up one already today. Leroy Jennings running behind, and then a bit of composure needed to pick out Mason Wells when the moment demanded it. With Ging and Choi coming together, and again it's the Sydney United centre half winning out. Blacktown City searching for the sanctity of the dressing room at the minute and hoping they don't cop a third, because Anselmi's sniffing around there and appreciating the effort from Bailey Rule to give him something to attack. Well, can Blacktown hit in transition? The most open the game has been in the first half, and a very easy decision to book Leroy Jennings. He was keen to stop the forward progress of Nick O'Brien. One apiece in Danny Horsted's notebook after the first half. Chance for Blacktown City to get something late, so we see a minute to be added on at the end of the first half. Been free-flowing, been frantic at times. Sydney United have looked the more controlled of the two combatants. Blacktown would love to throw a little stunner in the mix. Weren't able to do so as Major jumped for that, and even if he had been able to direct it on goal, the flag was up. At the moment, that might be Blacktown's most threatening way to goal. Delivery from the set pieces hasn't been too bad, but general play, they've not been able to lay a glove on Sydney United's defence. Well, it's been a few years since Sydney United have beaten their old rivals at their own grounds, but they've laid a very good base here in this round 12 encounter. Goals from Mason Wells and then Patrick Anselmi, his fourth across the last two games after a hat-trick a week ago. I've given Ante Juric's sides a very good platform to work from here in Blacktown. City had their moments, responded well to going behind, but weren't able to build anything consistently enough in an attacking sense. So go to the sheds, asking themselves quite how they're going to be able to break down this Sydney United backline, who have battled so gamely for this two-goal advantage. Alex Molchanoff, delighted to be with you this afternoon at Blacktown City. We'll be back after half-time for the second 45 minutes of action, but at the break, it's Blacktown City 0, Sydney United 58-2. Welcome back to Landon Stadium. The second half of this round 12 encounter between Blacktown City and Sydney United 58 about to get underway, and it's the visitors looking comfortable with their 2-goal advantage. Mason Wells and Patrick Antelmi, the goal scorers for Ante Juric, as his side look to burst into the top 6 for the first time this season. Blacktown City have got the firepower to answer back, but they need to grab hold of some control of this game. Outplayed through the middle of the park in the opening 45 minutes. Not able to generate too many chances to give their old goalkeeper Tristan Prendergast too many headaches. So Danny Orsted gets us underway. There has been a change at the break for Mark Crittenden. Sebastian Hayward, the youngster, being brought on. See if he can add some stability to their midfield. Marty Fernandez has got his team straight on the front foot. Cross cut out at the top of the box by Jack O'Brien. Tommy shrugging off Hayward's attention in the early stages. Fernandez pressing forwards. Blacktown coming out with a renewed vigour and energy. Did respond well to going behind in the first half, but the second goal took the wind out of their sails somewhat. What a good run of form. Lost just one of their last 8, in the league, one of their last 10 in all competitions. That game against Rockdale Illingdon. It's the teams that are above them that have been real trouble. Seems to be a ceiling on what this Blacktown City team can get out of their football at the minute. Sydney United's slow start has been arrested, and more than that, they're looking one of the more dangerous teams moving forward in this competition. Be back with an even goal difference if this result holds, depending on what happens this afternoon. Some of the other games, they should be up only behind RPL Leichhardt as Danny Choi wins his side a free kick right on the edge of the penalty area. And the yellow cards hoisted the way, think of Tarek Meyer. We'll get that confirmed. That Bailey rule getting back there doing the defending, so the card will be for the Sydney United right fullback. So an early set piece to defend here for United with this 2-goal advantage. City with a chance to strike back. Jack O'Brien over the dead ball, swinging it near post. It's not dealt with by United, and Major on the line nods it in. A lifeline for Crittenden's team. A sloppy piece of defending from Sydney United. It looked so assured with things in front of them in the first half. A moment caught napping, a ball bouncing inside their own 6-yard box, and that spells trouble for any defending team. And it's Major, City's all-time leading goal scorer, who adds another. And it's given them a route back into this game. Beautiful ball in from Jack O'Brien. His influence on this Blacktown City side can never be understated. And he's got a chance to play them forward again here. Mitch Malia in space down the right. And this game has changed in its complexion at the start of the second half. Malia, brilliant save by Prendergast. One of those tricky ones for a goalkeeper, so close to his body. And he got down brilliantly to turn it around its post. Game that was cruising along. Sydney United looking in so firm control. Blacktown City have turned the tide in the space of 4 minutes here. Scored from the last set piece. Can Jack O'Brien deliver another telling cross? Glassick read it better this time. Shabao only as far as Seb Hayward. Ben Berry was the man taken off at half-time. Such has been the action. We haven't been able to bring that to you. So the extra man going into midfield, and there's a coming together in the middle of the area between Lachlan Campbell and Michael Glassick. Liam McGing and Adrian Vlastelitz are in close attendance. But Lachlan Campbell looks to be the antagonist in the situation, certainly from the Sydney United point of view. Danny Horsted's going to go over and have a word to his assistant on the near side, Thomas Dale, who was looking across at all of that. Horsted was over worrying about what was happening from the free kick. So it's going to be the assistant's decision here. Travis Major having a word. Certainly there was very sharp focus towards Campbell from Classic. Campbell being called over for a chat with Adrian Vlastolica. Looks to be the other side of that entanglement. And just a couple of words for both. Enough discipline meets it out. Of course, the ball not in play, so free kick can't be blown in either direction. Sydney United have got another Blacktown City set piece to defend. Twice they came from behind on United's last visit to claim a point. This time they've trailed by 2. They've worked themselves back into the game right at the start of the second half. O'Brien almost exactly from the spot where they got the equaliser. And again, Kressner falls for Campbell. And it's 2-2 in double quick time. And Campbell lets United know about it. He's got such a knack for scoring from set pieces, Lachlan Campbell. He's done it again. And United's lead has evaporated in the space of 6 minutes. Have the visitors lost their heads? They certainly haven't been able to deal with the curling crosses of Jack O'Brien. Well, we expect action between these two. We've got a certain amount of it in the first half. We've had so much at the start of the second. Game that was waiting for a flashpoint. It might have had 2 or 3 that have changed the game, and it's been in the host's favour. We'll put it straight down to the substitutions, but the dominant Sydney United had in midfield towards the end of the first half is gone. And Choi's getting involved. Might have been the help of an arm there, although an unintentional one, and then Chabal using his to control as he brought it down. That one's pinged by the referee. The Sydney United team who have struggled to hold leads. It's been a consistent theme. Scorers first in now 5 of their last 6. Won the majority of those, but teams know there is a way to get back at them. So what's their response here on this Sunday afternoon in the wet weather? Of the first team, and it is that now for Ante Juric. Selection of those star signings that he brought in the off-season. He's had to wait almost 3 months to use all of them in the same team. Still without Carlos de Oliveira today, one who was already at the club, and now down goes Mason Wells. Marty Fernandez, who is walking a thin tightrope. Booked early in the first half, and that might be his last warning. And Mario Chabal making that point very clearly to Danny Horsted. I think he's not aware. Sydney United with a chance to answer straight back. So Chabal taking his spot over the football. 2 set pieces have brought Blacktown City back into this game. Now they've got one to defend. Chabal hanging it high. Major attacking the ball. Clearing the danger. There's just a renewed energy about Blacktown City now. Hatch just heaves the ball clear. And they've done it really without Mitch Marley playing too much of a part, which must be a promising sign. Been so reliant on him for key goals this season. A different route to goal today. Travis Major with his 2nd strike of the year. Lachlan Campbell with his 2nd as well. Just his 7th appearance. Mentioned his knack for scoring from set pieces as he did in the 2022 Grand Final. Kressner for Choi. darting in on his less favoured right. Jack O'Brien not making the contact he wanted. Fernandez back to retrieve. Now send Malia the other way. Ball taken on by Jack O'Brien. Another dangerous run. And O'Brien's part in Blacktown's bright start to their second half can't be overstated. The 2 crosses for the 2 goals. And direct running, which has cut right through the heart of Sydney United's midfield and threatened their back line. Malia over to take this corner, swinging it in towards Prendergast. It's deep. Major got up. Classic, or McGing rather. Don't know how much he knew about it, but his position meant the ball couldn't travel any further and Prendergast could come to claim. Prendergast, who was so key in this game in Blacktown City colours a year ago. Made a number of key saves that afternoon. Not dissimilar conditions to this one. It was Easter Sunday. Chanel might have stolen a yard or two. And Tommy had it nicked off him by Bandiera. O'Brien. Has Choi got the legs? He certainly does. And he's might have left Bailey Rule for dead here. Floats it into a dangerous spot. Travis Major. Goal-saving block from Vlastelica. Who might be feeling the full effects. Stretching every sinew to get there. The Sydney United skipper. A superb block. 2 foes who have locked horns so many times down the years, and Vlastelica with a stunning slide. Mentioned Fernandez was walking the tightrope. Blacktown City have removed him from the action. Give them a spell of safety. Nodded on by Campbell. Just needed a black shirt there. And Mason Wells was fortunate. The ball just fell to him. Chabal strong enough to win the foul. And now Danny Orsted halting things so that Matt Hatch can receive some attention. Coming on for Marty Fernandez. Like for like switch with Maxim Yesh. The off-season signings from Bonnie Rig White Eagles coming up a division. Mention that Australia Cup win in midweek against Gaimea. Yesh getting a hat-trick in that game. Run for some of the players not seeing as much playing time in the league. He's one of them. Goal-scoring form would have pleased the City coaching staff as they move hopefully towards the national rounds of the Australia Cup. O'Brien not clearing the danger. Diving in was Campbell. His influence on this game is growing minute by minute. Malia seeing more space in front of him as well. Choi's touch betraying him. Don't say that too often. And Wells has turned away. 4-on-3 if they play it right. Might be 5-on-4. Chabal, well read by Nick O'Brien. Stepped in at the most opportune moment. Snuff out United's counter before it began. Switch of play from Choi. Marley is stolen in on the blind side. And then Hatch recovered. Like a thief in the night. Mitch Marley, not sure how much Hatch knew about it, but the desperation saves another Blacktown City chance. This game has ebbed and flowed in both directions. We've still got more than half an hour to play. Jack O'Brien out to almost a right wing back position. Such a particular ball forward, that one. Takes hours and hours of practice to get right. It did force Hatch into another uncomfortable area though. Prendergast's distribution today, not been at its best. Thumps it over towards the gantry here on the broadcast side. 2 Sydney United players playing at it and miscuing, and then Vlastelica just touching it behind for another Blacktown City corner. This is almost a mirror image of the opening 15 or 20 minutes of the first half when Blacktown couldn't get out of their own half. A crook in my neck in this commentary position from looking down this end of the field. Marley's ball is deep. 3 in a line for Blacktown City. Kressner got the final touch. We asked what to change for Mark Crittenden, but he always seems to pull the right rein. Seen it all before. It's the most subtle of changes. Move into a back four. Pushing Seb Haywood into a midfield role. Entrusting Bandiera and Campbell to do their jobs defensively. It has all worked in the opening quarter of an hour in the second half. It's the only pressure Caden Henderson has seen. Been the ball played back at his feet. Might be an attack to defend here, though. And Solmi needs to reinsert himself into this game. Certainly a touch there between Nick O'Brien and Leroy Jennings, and yellow cards. The result, heard the clash of boots all the way from up here through our FX mics. Jennings, who set up the opening goal, it seems an awfully long time ago now, despite the fact that it was only scored just before the before the 20-minute mark. Been an ever-present danger down that end of the field for Blacktown City. It's won them a free kick in a dangerous area. Set pieces have been the order of the day. So Meyer to deliver this one. He's got to judge it nicely. Didn't quite do so. Easily cleared by Bandiera. Vlastelica and Choi going head-to-head. Vlastelica looked to have won out, but a little overzealous. Temperature just continuing to drop here at Landon Stadium. It was about 19 degrees at kickoff. Good footballing conditions, overcast, but comfortable for the players. Provided us an environment in which these two teams have turned on some terrific Sunday afternoon entertainment. This is the scoreline that we had a year ago. Blacktown thought there was a touch off Hatch there. The referees disagreed. And now Jennings running through the back of Yesh. Campbell stepping in, stepping past Classic as well. We've seen this little undercurrent of feistiness from both benches, both sets of players, as well as bends that one towards goal, but always heading over. Jack O'Brien's still got a couple of words. Less than impressed with that throw-in not awarded to Blacktown City a moment ago. Wry smile as he turns his attention back to the action. Another deep breath. Most collectively from the 22 players and the 4 officials out there. And Brian going in with his foot high and an apology. Classic wanted to take it quickly. Groans from the Sydney United players, only themselves to blame, really. Classic blocking off Choi. There's a coming together between Hatch and O'Brien. Flashpoints everywhere at the minute. Nick O'Brien stepping in, and then Hatch just leaving one in on Jack O'Brien, who is fired up and was keen to respond. Nick getting across to cut out any sort of retribution coming from the players. Hatch was always going to find himself in Danny Horsehead's notebook at the end of all of that. We get a little bit more artificial light just to take over. A game that looks as though it will be decided on a moment or two. Both teams have had their periods of dominance. Both have found the 2 goals to bring us to this point. City United before half-time, Blacktown City after the break. Now it's going to be who's able to stand up and turn the tide their team's way. Or indeed who invites the error. Blacktown want to see more out of Danny Choi. Want to see him getting the ball on the half turn. He's not been as dangerous as perhaps they were anticipated today. Bringing him into the starting lineup perhaps suggests why Crittenden and Matty Bingley have not been as keen to send him out for the entirety of 90 minutes. But some injuries today have meant that he's got the opportunity. Could still play the telling hand in the game today. Travis Major is having growing influence since he got the goal back just after half-time. Won't score too many easier. He's got that many in Blacktown City colours that the personal accolades are very much secondary to him now, if they weren't already. Remarkable thing is the time he spent away in Hong Kong and India in between these two stints with Blacktown City. Still a legend of this football club. Mentioned off the top of the broadcast the peak of this rivalry in the mid-2010s. This is going some way close to renewing that as Major got something on it. And the penalty's been awarded by Danny Horsted. Liam McGing all over the back of Lachlan Campbell. They've not been able to deal with him from set pieces. And McGing is in disbelief, but Danny Horsted had a very good view of the grappling and grabbing. And the Sydney United defender has made the critical mistake of getting a little too familiar with the Blacktown City centre-back, who has turned the tide of this game, first with his goal, and then by winning the penalty. Perhaps outsmarting him. Still a big moment to play out here. So Prendergast at the grounds he's so familiar with, against Jack O'Brien, his former teammate. O'Brien's thrust has brought Blacktown City into this game. Can he give them the lead? He does! Sends Prendergast the wrong way. And from 2 down at half-time, Blacktown City lead 3-2. Remarkable. Small adjustments made. Big results coming Blacktown's way. And now Sydney United are the ones needing to solve a big, big problem. Three set pieces. 2 scored, 1 resulting in a penalty. The narrative tide has turned. The momentum has turned in this game. Sydney United, who are having a field day through the middle of the park, have barely been able to string 4 or 5 passes together in the second half. Mario Chabau and Tarek Maya, who are having it all their own way, have disappeared from the game. Patrick Antelmi, well marshalled by Lachlan Campbell. All those routes to goal have disappeared. And the tempestuous nature of the game has suited the hosts. It's given them a driving force back into this game. Blacktown unhappy that the ball was allowed to be played on, but we're doing something similar, and that's a really sloppy pass from Rule. Kressnar picking it up. Choi. O'Brien. They're using this fire, Blacktown City, to thrust them forwards. Major. Malia. On his less favoured right, it's towards Choi, but too far behind him. And now this is where Sydney United need players like Wells and Jennings and Mantelmi to step up. And Chabau, you can add his name to that list. Changes coming for the visitors. As I said at the break, looks so comfortable with the 2-goal advantage. Sydney United, who built their lead through possession, through territorial dominance, through a suffocating press in the first half. All of that has disappeared. Blacktown having got that lead, having used the momentum given by their frustration, now going to be careful that they're just able to reel everything in a little. Don't want this game to be as free-flowing and open in the final 20 minutes as it has been at times in the second half. Triple substitution coming for Ante Juric. It's three of the stars of the first half, really. Shabao, Rule and Wells making way. Milicevic, Krilic and Dorobelard, their replacements. So Krilic, the most defensive of the options. It's all fairly like for like. He'll be the one going into the defensive role. Milicevic and Dorobelard taking their positions higher up the field. Krilic's first ball was overhit. We'll give Sydney United a chance to throw out the old boxer in. One of the favourites of park footballers around Sydney. Blacktown City just trying to insert a measure of calm into this game now, having got the lead. Two Jack O'Brien crosses from set pieces and then his penalty, which has given Blacktown the advantage for the first time this afternoon. Meyer with a lovely touch. Seb Hayward has played a very disciplined role for a youngster since coming on. He's done it very well. More defending to do here, though. Krilic, two youngsters colliding, and it's fallen in Blacktown City's favour with Danny Choi running at Liam McGing. He's got Mile there at the back post, but that was the only real support, so he just holds and waits for some more, and then plays it straight into McGing. The unfortunate party, whose penalty concession has given Blacktown City the lead. And Tilmy stepping in. Forward is Jennings. And his running power has not been dealt with by Blacktown City in transition. Bandiera finds his name in referee Horsted's notebook. Flipping out to the right-hand side with the introduction of Stefan Dorobelard and immediately into the game. Running at Bandiera. Third booking of the afternoon going Blacktown City's way. It's three apiece between them and Sydney United. Over this ball is Milicevic. And it's flicked in and right on his goal line. Henderson was able to hang on. Bending ball from Nick O'Brien for Jack. Yes, can't get caught there. Dorobelard going to grab his jersey, which is the reason the free kick has been given against him. Ante Juric cutting a fairly bemused figure by what's all gone on in front of him. Quite how his team have relinquished this lead. Choi. Easily cleared by McGing. Nodded on by Meyer. Touch from Milicevic was beautiful. It's allowed Jennings onto it. And again, he's pulled back, this time by Hayward. They're just taking turns. Blacktown City. And United have been allowed to take it quickly. Dorobelard. First real chance for him to get into the game. Glassick. Tried to draw the free kick. Danny Orsted had to think about blowing his whistle. Thought better of it. Jack O'Brien in hard on Glassick. And now the free kick is blown. A bit of a silly one, full of frustration from Jack O'Brien, particularly with the ball not being moved forward by Glassick. There was no real danger. No, it'll just be a chance. He's been so good and his energy has brought so much Jack O'Brien this afternoon. Love to display his energy. through the centre of the park. A couple of silly fouls, and Sydney United are going to be able to work something from a set piece. Hatch, the wide option, curling it towards Glassick. Couldn't keep the header on target. Beautifully whipped cross from the Sydney United left back. A number of bodies to beat. Blacktown City penalty area. Just a little high for Glassick to really get the purchase on. So we'll have one more stoppage to make the last of their two substitutions if they choose to, Blacktown City, but Danny Choi's afternoon is over. So 19-year-old Demo been brought on, becoming a face we're familiar with. Blacktown City, part of some big cup clashes late last season, increasingly brought into the fold off the bench by Mark Crittenden this season. And Tommy flicking it on, Milicevic, and the pace of Jennings causing all sorts of problems. The collision not blown for a free kick, and then Jennings picked the ball up, anticipating the whistle. And the arguments continue between sets of players at the bench. A wry smile from Nick O'Brien. And Sydney United feel the whistle's gone against them now. Both teams have had periods of that this afternoon. Sydney United argument was that was awfully similar to the coming together between McGing and Campbell in the other penalty box. That will be a point of discussion during the week. 15 minutes, just under that now for Sydney United to salvage something. The story at the moment is a terrific comeback from Blacktown City. Trailed by 2-0 at the break and have been brought back into it by a couple of set pieces and a Jack O'Brien penalty. Sydney United's adjustment to the change in momentum, the swing of the pendulum, has come too late to save them at the moment. Have looked more dangerous in the last 10 minutes or so. But Blacktown are still getting forwards. Regular moments as well. Jack O'Brien yet to go in the book. Might be pretty close to that. And Vlastelica with a bit of a moment of frustration himself. And he holds a hand of apology. It's a player who knows better. Henderson taking it all the way back into his penalty area to eat some more time off the clock. It's been a game that has had everything, particularly in the second half. Blacktown City's comeback not yet complete. Milicevic. Another aimless ball forward from Sydney United. Characterised long periods of the second half for them. Henderson long forwards for Demo. Last touch was his though. And now a substitution. Well, this young man's had a fine start to his senior career. Michael Pratazina. Still only 17 years of age, and once again, Ante Juric turns to him here, trying to turn the tide again. 2 goals in his first 6 appearances of the season for Sydney United 58, and he's bearing down on Campbell, who touched it away from him. Jack O'Brien for Mitch Malia. He's played a much more watchful role of a senior player today. Jack O'Brien has been the key force. There was an arm used in there. Vlastelitzen wants to take it quickly. Time of the essence for Sydney United. Yes, stepping in late on Glassick. I'll tell you what, it's going to blow the LP out of the whistle. The moment Danny Horsted challenges flying in. Krilich for Leroy Jennings. Cannot take your eyes off this with 10 minutes to go. De Robillard, lovely touch. Can he pick out a player in red? It's just a metre or so behind Milicevic. Glassick. This is the rhythm of play we saw early in the first half of Sydney United, just battering back Blacktown City into their own half. Krilic's throw. Pratazina with his first touch since coming on. And he's done beautifully. Milicevic firing wildly. Never threatened Henderson's net. But a couple of opportunities like that in the past 10 or 15 minutes that have fallen United's way. Half chances at best. Not been able to force Henderson into a meaningful save. Joe McKinley's being readied. David Henderson has found himself all the way up on the hill. Frustration of a few of the Sydney United travelling supporters. You can hear every word said around Landon Stadium. So close to the supporters to the pitch. And Danny Horsted just having a word to Caden Henderson, saying that might be the last of the delay of restarts. Well, Travis Major has driven the comeback for Blacktown City. Got the first goal of 3. Kinley has been used largely as a wing-back for Mark Crittenden to this stage in his Blacktown City career. Comes into central midfield, which is where we saw him most of last year for Spirit. Jack O'Brien is totting up the free kick concessions, and Horsted making the point he's going to have no choice but to book him unless he can find his way out of those situations. Would be a postscript on what has been a fine performance from him this afternoon. Pratazina stepping away from Yesh. And then the clearance from Bandiera has almost found us again. For the first time this afternoon. It's like we've had a magnet up here at times. Hatch letting out a groan, and that might get close to the camera as well. Replacement ball. So that'll find its way a little further from our vantage point. And Telmy surrounded by a quartet of Blacktown City defenders. Ball is scrapped away. Will that be the pattern of this final 10 minutes or so? We're expecting a few minutes to be added on at the end of all of this as well. Still plenty of time for Sydney United to find a response. Hayward so full of running since his introduction at the break. So his substitution has directly changed things, but it brought another number into Blacktown City's midfield and certainly enabled Blacktown City to have more control of the second half. Pratazina trying to find his way through. Showed to the byline by Jacob Kresnar. Been one of the more consistent for Blacktown City over the course of the afternoon. Reminder, we've got 3 games to follow this one, kicking off in about 10 minutes or so. On the Football New South Wales YouTube page, where you're finding this one. Central Coast Mariners taking on Rockdale Illingdon at the Illingdon Sports Centre. Sydney Olympic hosting Manly United at the Valentine Sports Park. And Wollongong Wolves taking on Mount Druitt Town Rangers down at Sir Ian McClellan Reserve. Krilich back over his head, and, well, an unusual offside decision. Certainly not an incorrect one, though. Leroy Jennings running a good 10 or 15 yards to get involved in that one, which has seen the flag go up. So Blacktown have used the last of their allotted stoppages. No action this afternoon for Keanu Moore, the last left on their bench. Still going to be one more roll of the dice for Sydney United, with Alessandro Lacalandra being readied. Wide by Haywood for Mitch Malia. Two Blacktown juniors, some 13 or 14 years apart. Malia scrapping it in. Demo, another one of those. Pressing in on Vlastolica. Can Sydney United clear their lines? They do. Good ball from Hatch for Anselmi. Glassick giving Campbell something to chase, and went down under a challenge. I don't think this whistles for a free kick, though, from Danny Orsted. We'll just wait to see the decision. There was a little bit of a touch there from Anselmi. Campbell going down under the challenge. Seemed rather innocuous, I have to say, from our vantage point. Chance for Blacktown just to eat a little bit more time off the clock. There has been a free kick awarded to Blacktown City here. Leroy Jennings, afternoon over. Direct running gave Blacktown all sorts of problems. His has not been the telling touch this afternoon. Only one place Nick O'Brien's free kick was going. It was well down the other end. Marley's taken a good 5 or 10 yards there for the set piece, so back he goes. If you're just joining us, Sydney United led this game by 2-0 at the break. Blacktown City have mounted a second half comeback that looks likely to score them all 3 points this afternoon. Keep their brilliant record over the last 11 games going. Players coming together anywhere as Blacktown scrap to hold on to the lead. Nick O'Brien enjoying the battle. You saw the smile on his face as he made that challenge. Vlastolica above Demo, and Yesh getting entangled with Glassick, and the free kick going Sydney United's way. More than an arm up there from the Blacktown City substitute. Had very few complaints. Vlastolica's only got so many more balls forward he can play. Lacalandra's first touch. Not too much for Krilic. Another few seconds sucked off the clock for the visitors. Chance to rise into the top six has just slipped away here in the second half. Penalty shout that I thought might have gone their way. Penalty that was awarded to Lachlan Campbell for his little tangle with Liam McGing in the penalty area. Jack O'Brien converted to give Blacktown City a lead. Nick O'Brien in a foot race with de Robillard, curling it in behind Hatch. And Jack O'Brien diving at the feet of Matty Hatch and raising a hand in apology. Play on for now. So those two are left prone on the turf down the other end. Henderson has managed this game expertly from the back for a 20-year-old goalkeeper. Against the man he took the first team goalkeeping jersey from, in Tristan Prendergast down the other end, and he's going to get the end better of that little battle. Ante Juric and Mark Crittenden. First time these two coaches have faced off since Juric was in charge of Sydney Olympic during their 2022 Premiership campaign. Crittenden got the last laugh that season with a win on penalties to qualify his team for a grand final they'd later win. He's looking as though he's going to get the chocolates here again. unless Sydney United have a very late say. Hatch. Nick O'Brien has had a spectacular second half. All the unfancy stuff, all the stuff coaches love and fans recognise. Appeals coming from everywhere. Hutch taking a couple of yards. Finding Anselmi. Looking at the last possible seconds. McKinley winning in the air. Vlastelica needs to find a player in red. He just belts it over the top of the Blacktown defence, and Anderson can claim another one. We are now into stoppage time. We're just about to see from the fourth official, Rowan Fisher, how much of that we're going to get. 5 minutes for Sydney United to find a winner. Or an equaliser, rather. Demo being held the whole way by Krilic, and so Blacktown City with another attacking set piece. They've been the bane of Sydney United in the second half. O'Brien over another one. Blacktown will just try and play this forward. Play Malia into a corner. It's where he goes now. Twisting and turning his way past Hatch. McKinley with too much on the cross. Yesh has been full of energy since his introduction. He takes Krilic into the advertising signage. Been at the centre of everything, Maxim Yesh, since coming on. Krilic keen to get things going again, as he would be. Jack O'Brien now the furthest forward. He has covered so much ground for Blacktown City this afternoon. Can say the same of Hatch for Sydney United. The ball forward's not going to win him any prizes, though. They've actually got numbers here, Blacktown City, if they want to throw them forward. Malia will just look to retain possession for as long as possible. His touch lets him down. Blacktown know how close they are, having battled from 2 goals down. Pratazina beautifully waited for Lacalandra. Well blocked by Kresna and swept away by Campbell, whose penalty win might be the defining moment of this fixture. Crittenden directing troops, trying to get his defence sorted. Krilic takes up the attack. Lacalandra for Pratazina to try and measure another one. It's got too much on it for Anselmi, who might have thought his goal towards the end of the first half would be plenty enough to carry Sydney United forward. It's proven not to be the case. And a rather disconsolate travelling supporter starting to filter their way towards the exit. Lacalandra. Can he give them something to cheer about late? Milicevic and Demo come together. Lovely touch from Pratazina, just dragged off it by Yesh, who's finally awarded a yellow card. Pratazina again, playing with a cool head. Beyond these years, Krilic, full of running since coming on. Check of the watch from Danny Horsted. There's not long to go. Maybe one last chance for Sydney United. Lacalandra. Krilic. Away by Campbell. Kept alive. Anselmi goes down. Penalty appeals waved away. And they weren't too prolonged. McGing brings it down, but Vlastelica brought down Jack O'Brien off the ball, and that might be confirmation of a Blacktown City victory. More seconds tick away. A subdued atmosphere has been brought to life by City's performance in the second half. A stunning comeback. Now just trying to see out its dying moments. Bandiera will launch it down. And tell me, Classic with runners in behind. Milicevic might be first to it. He's got a couple in support and blazes it over the crossbar. Sydney United have had a couple of moments like that in the second half that had they taken, the result might have been different. But the comeback is the story here at London Stadium. City 2-0 down at the break. Fight back to win it 3-2. And thrust themselves into the Premiership picture. A game that has so often had a big say in the location of silverware in this state's football and competition. Has provided a launching pad for Blacktown City here. It all could have been so different. But Jack O'Brien's 2 set pieces and then the winning penalty have been enough for Blacktown City to get the victory on home turf. What might have been the question for Sydney United, particularly given how bright they were in the opening 45 minutes. Not able to carry it on in the second half. A pleasure to bring you this one from London Stadium. An instant classic in this time-honoured derby. It has finished. Blacktown City 3, Sydney United 58-2.